Human trafficking lawsuit in New York, Know Your Rights. Attorney Andrew M. Stengel. Human trafficking survivors often face a bewildering legal landscape. Under federal law, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, TVPRA, covers two distinct forms of exploitation: sex trafficking and labor trafficking. A human trafficking lawsuit in New York gives survivors of either form a real path to civil justice. Although these crimes share many features, they operate under different legal definitions and carry different patterns of harm. Understanding the differences and the overlaps helps survivors, families, and advocates weigh every legal remedy. With the right approach, survivors can pursue compensation from perpetrators and from the businesses that profited from their exploitation. How federal law defines sex trafficking. Federal law defines sex trafficking as the use of force, fraud, or coercion to make a person perform commercial sex acts. When the victim is under 18, the law requires no proof of force, fraud, or coercion at all. Any commercial sex act involving a minor qualifies as sex trafficking on its face. Commercial sex, meaning the exchange of sex for money or other value, is what distinguishes sex trafficking from other forms of sexual exploitation. Importantly, the TVPRA creates a civil cause of action for survivors. That means survivors can sue the traffickers themselves. This same law also reaches clients who knowingly use their services, as well as businesses or landlords that knowingly benefited from the trafficking venture. Lawsuits under the TVPRA reach well beyond the immediate perpetrator. Hotels, advertising platforms, landlords, and financial institutions have all faced federal trafficking lawsuits for their roles in enabling the trade. In New York, major hotel chains, tech platforms, and commercial real estate interests often intersect with trafficking networks. These beneficiary defendants frequently hold the deepest pockets in the case. When sex trafficking and labor trafficking overlap. In many trafficking operations, survivors suffer both sexual exploitation and forced labor. Massage parlors that front for sex trafficking often exploit workers through wage theft and debt bondage. Domestic servitude cases may involve sexual abuse alongside unpaid household labor. Additionally, migrant workers in New York may face forced sex work on top of agricultural, restaurant, or construction labor. When trafficking involves both forms of exploitation, survivors may pursue human trafficking lawsuit under multiple legal theories. This overlap matters for damages in your human trafficking lawsuit. Survivors pursuing multiple legal theories often recover more because the harms are cumulative. Each legal theory unlocks a separate measure of damages. For example, a single survivor might recover under the TVPRA for sex trafficking. That same person could sue for wage theft under federal labor statutes and for assault and battery under New York state law. Still, layered lawsuits require careful coordination to avoid double recovery objections and conflicting defense theories. A thorough legal review should explore every angle. Civil rights for labor trafficking survivors. Labor trafficking survivors have their own TVPRA civil rights. Specifically, the law lets survivors sue employers who use force, fraud, or coercion to obtain labor services. It also lets them sue anyone who knowingly benefited from a labor trafficking venture. Those rights apply whether the survivor worked in a factory, a farm, a restaurant, a nail salon, or a private home. Furthermore, labor trafficking lawsuits can intersect with wage theft lawsuits under the Fair Labor Standards Act and the New York labor law. Employment discrimination lawsuits under Title VII and the New York State Human Rights Law may also apply. Those theories fit when trafficking involved gendered, racial, or national origin targeting. Where trafficking operations are well organized, survivors may even pursue RICO lawsuits against the criminal enterprise and its participants. Each additional theory broadens the pool of recoverable damages and responsible defendants. New York laws that support trafficking survivors. Beyond the TVPRA, New York provides its own civil tools for trafficking survivors. New York Social Services Law, Section 483-BB, lets trafficking victims sue traffickers and enabling parties directly in state court. Additionally, New York City's Gender Motivated Violence Act reaches survivors whose trafficking involved gender based violence within the 5 boroughs. Together, these state and city laws let survivors assemble a more complete civil case than federal law alone can support. Because of the overlapping statutes, trafficking survivors benefit from a comprehensive legal evaluation of their human trafficking lawsuit. An experienced attorney will analyze every aspect of your experience to identify the strongest legal theories and the most viable defendants. For instance, what looks at first like a simple labor dispute may reveal elements of sex trafficking once the full story comes out. Conversely, a sex trafficking matter may also support wage theft and employment discrimination lawsuits. Careful analysis often reveals the full scope of liability. We stand with human trafficking survivors. If you have survived sex trafficking, labor trafficking, or both, you are not alone. The law firm of Andrew M. Stengel. PC understands the complex legal landscape trafficking survivors navigate. We approach every conversation with privacy, compassion, and real attention to your needs. Contact us for a free, completely confidential consultation. Email info@stengellaw.com. For more information, please visit our website, stengellaw.com. Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.